Hello, once again, Jose Rodriguez here. We're going to talk yet again about the Pro 1000 and the theory of that low permanent setting on your chip. That means that in my situation, I happen to have 3 cartridges that by chance, when I modified them, the chips were not empty yet. They were still being declared as low. And I went ahead and topped them off. And yeah, I have 9 others that are red X'd. Those are empty. And I'm running them at this point by refilling them until I get that 1600 error. And then I will go ahead and permanently disable those chips. But right now I have 3 cartridges that are still low. And they were low before I modified them. They were low for months. Okay. I wasn't printing that much, but they were low. Every time I tried to print something, it would run a cleaning cycle and they were still low. So apparently I had enough ink on them to not trigger that empty point yet. So by topping them off, I have basically opened up kind of a Pandora's box. The printer will not know when to declare that chip empty, because internally the ink compartment that those 3 cartridges are feeding into are realizing that every time one of those is low and it requires a top off or a refill of ink, there's ink available. So it's happy. It reaches the top, the sensor is activated, the valve closes up, no more ink is flowing out of the cartridge. The chip's still saying I'm low, but I have a lot of ink in those cartridges, so it will never be declared empty. That's the theory that is proving itself to be correct at this point. So here is the final way to test this. Now, all of these cartridges here were topped off with a total of 80 milliliters of ink. That means that the whole shebang, the cartridge and the ink, weighed 112 grams. I recently tested my PC cartridge by removing it, taking the sensor off, and then weighing it. And it was at 98 grams. That means I used 14 grams of ink. Okay, assuming that 1 milliliter is a gram about. That's pretty close to that threshold condition that a normal cartridge has to reach before it is declared low. So you start off with 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, and then you get down to about 15, and that's when the printer says, okay, we have used the proper amount of ink already, so we're going to declare this cartridge low. And then we'll wait for the cartridge to literally run out of ink, meaning that it will not be able to replenish an internal compartment. And then we'll zap that chip empty. That's what it has to reach. So around 15. Well, I am about that point right now. So at that 98 gram weight, okay, that meant what? That I would have had about 14 grams left of ink in it. Remember, I went ahead and printed a bunch of 13 by 19s. I need to run those inks out. And I want that low warning to go empty on me. I want it to, but it's not doing it. So I did a gigantic standard image. That thing came out gorgeous, by the way. It is so accurate, it's just beyond words. I went ahead and printed a sunset. So that's 1 and 2. And remember, I did 25 of them before that. And I'm looking at enjoying actually the results that I'm getting here. These are images that I got from viewers. They loaded them up on their Dropbox, and I went ahead and obtained them. And I promised that I would then show them off on videos, which is what I am doing. So that makes 1, 2, 3. Another gorgeous shot. I believe this is Australia. And again, that ink indication remains at low. And I'm printing. I want to use up a whole box of 50 sheets of paper. And of course, I at that point I will have used maybe half of the equivalent ink in there. And so if it doesn't go empty, then my theory is correct. and so forth. Here's an extremely neutral black and white. Look at that. It's a hand. It's a hand from an elderly person. Beautiful wrinkles and everything. Wow, just majestic. And this is how good this printer is. You want to do a sky and you want to make sure that it is reproduced correctly. Those blues, look at that. Remember, this printer has a proprietary blue ink. That will come into effect when you need it, okay? When the printer needs it to be able to reproduce a particular blue value, it will use that ink. That truck, that was more like a HDR type image. This is one of Richard Bender's images here. And as you can see, how many were those? Maybe 10, 15. This is an aerial shot of my daughter's patio using my drone. Let me aim it like that. There you go. And the point of all of this is to force that low warning to reach empty, to be declared as empty. This is Spain. Want to print something strong? How about an explosion? Okay. And I'm going to have to queue up a bunch more to print this week. Close up of a, maybe an orchid. I don't know what it is. Beautiful flower nevertheless. So as you can see, I did this with the low warning still active. And yet, I still got a low warning. After doing all of this, that low warning should have been declared empty. Had it not been for what I think is happening internally, that the cartridge has ink. The internal chamber, that photocyan chamber, every time it reaches low, it gets replenished, even though it's still declared low, but it continues to be replenished. So it will never be trigger empty. We did not know that this was possible until about a month ago. Okay, maybe others have experienced this in the past. Maybe others have not. But I certainly did, and I brought it up to Precision Colors, and he thought about it. And there are some, by the way, there's a service manual for the 2000 and 4000 printers available out there. I have a copy. I'm going to go ahead and post it on my Facebook group, on my Files tab. You can download it and examine and study the internal makings of these printers, which is going to be very close to the Pro 1000 as far as features go. Pay close attention to the way the internal compartments work and how they sense ink, okay? And that will tell you that, yes, indeed, we'll probably be able to maintain those low cartridges constantly low. What am I going to do when the other 9 that are red X right now throw that 1600 error? I will probably replace them because I want everything to be at low at this point, okay? That way, as I discussed earlier, if a sensor decides to stay on constantly, I will not get caught. I will not get caught. That cartridge will eventually then be declared empty. If this runs out of ink, but my light always remains on for some reason, as rare as that would probably be, it might fail that way. The light will be on, but I literally physically run out of ink. Then my low warning will be declared empty, and I will instantly know without getting caught and injecting air into my system. You see what I mean? So that is it for now. So far, so good. This seems to be working. And I hope that once we determine that this is indeed happening, then there'll be no more disabling of ink, okay, on the Pro 1000 or the Pro 2000. We can just refill those cartridges before they reach low, and that'll be enough. All right, thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. And of course, as always, happy printing, everyone. Bye-bye.